everyone, I Dipendra welcome you all on the behalf of IPMverse powered by CHH Makers in this video where we will be discussing the complete annual plan for quantitative aptitude for IPMAT. So let's get started what all we have in this particular video. So what we have here is very simple things. First of all, what you all need to understand is that what is there in the syllabus of IPMAT quantitative aptitude. Now it offers a lot of things. What all things are there? Let's understand them one by one. Why am I saying that it is understand first of all? It is crucial to understand first of all that what is all you're given in the syllabus, because you need to understand once that this is all what is going to be asked, then you can clearly strategize your preparation that this is what is going to be there, this is exactly what we need to study. So how are we going to study? What kind of expertise is required, how many hours you should devote, all that sort of information can be worked out later once you're aware that what all is needed to be studied or revised. So let's get started with the first topic. It says ratio and proportion. So most of the topics, most of the chapters which are asked from the quantitative aptitude section are up to 10 standard level mathematics. So first of all, the very basic thing which I would advise to you all is that revise all the basics which you have studied till 10th standard, of course, from mathematics. So if I talk about ratios and proportion, mixtures and alligation, time and work related problems, speed, time and distance related problems, work and time has their own extension, its own extension which says Python systems. You have simple and compound interest based questions. Can you believe that? Profit and loss, averages, percentages, right? Partnerships, and of course then there comes geometry. So geometry and mensuration based questions, of course plane and solid, both kind of mensuration is asked. Then you have questions based on number system. Then you have questions from algebra, for example roots, indices, surds. Then you have complete algebra, right? Linear equation, quadratic equation, and of course permutation and combinations, probability. This you might have studied up to 10th standard. Of course, now this is something which we treat as a modern maths, although it is not basically or really a modern maths, but in the context of IPMAT it is called the higher maths or the modern maths, which you study in 11th 12th standard. So majorly this chunk of the topics is covered from the 11th and 12th standard mathematics as well. For example, logarithm, matrices and determinants, integration and differentiation, definite integration, area under the curve, of course, and differentiation. If you talk about application of derivatives, all such topics are asked. Along with that, yes, trigo is there, and not just that, coordinate geometry is also there. So all these topics are somewhere are present in your examination. So this is the complete syllabus of what is all asked, or what all can be asked, or from where your questions are created. Now if I simply begin with this statement that if you are a student who is not having a mathematics background, basically in 11th and 12th standard, if you are from a non-maths background, then what should you first of all start with? So first of all, please understand there are two things. For quantitative aptitude, we have initially divided our syllabus into two parts. One is up to 10th standard, and then you have higher maths, which is of the 11th and 12th standard. The very basic idea is, of course, this is something which you need to work upon. This is something which you study, but not the entire mathematics of 11th and 12th standard. Few selected topics. Now what are those selected topics? For example, matrices and determinants. For example, application of derivatives, differentiation, functions. For example, sum of, a little bit of integration may be needed. And of course, trigo, the higher trigo, which is asked, not up to just 10th standard, the trigonometry which you study in 11th 12th standard, that is also asked. Along with that, of course, a lot of chapters like logarithms. In some boards logarithm is taught up to 10th standard only, but in some boards it is taught in 11th and 12th standard. Set theory. So a lot of topics which are there in 11th and 12th standard, they are to be studied by you. That's the biggest challenge you all are going to face. But of course you have a very good advantage that yes, up to 10th standard you have covered 60 to 70% of the syllabus already, which means first of all go through this syllabus, revise all the basics, and then go ahead with studying these topics. So that's the strategy which I will recommend for all the students who do not have the maths background. I hope this part we are very much clear with. Don't have or take this assumption that you will skip these parts and still would be able to crack the exam. Trust me, this is not how it works. You don't go with your favorite areas that, I'll work harder or stronger on my favorite areas, and that's how I'll be able to score well or score good. That's not exactly how it works. Please understand, you will have to study all the chapters, all the subjects, all the topics. Trust me. What really is going to happen in the real examination hall is that sometimes, a lot of times rather, easy questions are asked from the tough chapters and tough questions are asked from the easy chapters. So if you believe that there are certain easy chapters, easy topics which you have mastered, then technically if those are easy topics or easy chapters, then those chapters or those topics are mastered by everyone else. So the examiner already knows that these are the topics which are easy for all the students. Then definitely they are going to create tough questions from those chapters. But when it comes to tougher topics, tougher chapters, trust me, even with the basic understanding, you may be able to solve a lot of questions, because they also know that there are certain topics or chapters which are comparatively tougher, and if they are a little tougher, you can, even if with a little bit understanding of their basics, you might or possibly be able to solve certain number of questions. So I will always advise that study everything. Don't skip or leave anything. So first of all, when you're starting for quantitative aptitude preparation, go through your syllabus, what all is asked, what all is there in the syllabus, and then of course go through everything. Don't skip anything. So plan and strategize what all are you going to study. If you are from maths background, how are you going to study all this? If you are from non-maths background, how are you going to study especially this of course you will revise and study from the context of IPMAT, but this part specifically, if you are a non-maths student, how will you achieve or accomplish that? That is going to be the most challenging part. So that, first of all, I wanted to highlight that yes, that is the differentiator. So first learning from this video would be study everything. Don't skip anything, don't leave anything. Let's move to the next part. Yes, what about the study material? Sir, if I want to excel in quantitative aptitude for IPMAT, what should I study? What should I go for? What material should I refer to? What are the books? What is the content available for me? Trust me, the most basic thing, the most common thing which you all should do is go through the previous year's questions of IPMAT. Nothing is better than that. Trust me, nothing is better than that. It will give you a complete, holistic, a comprehensive idea that what all is there, what all is asked, what all can be asked, how do they create papers, what is their mindset, what is their, with what psyche they create papers, what is the difficulty level, up to what extent questions can be asked, what is the depth, everything, the width, that up to what all threads can be opened from which topic, which chapter, what is their mindset, how are they thinking while creating the paper, how to strategize your preparation, how should you attempt it, how should you even prepare for it. Everything can be worked out if you start analyzing, understanding and attempting the previous year's questions. I hope we are clear on this, that the most crucial part as far as study material comes into picture is previous year's questions. I'm sharing a hack with you. Whenever you are preparing for any exam, go through its PYQ first of all. It is always advised that if you have studied or gone through PYQs, you will actually develop a better understanding that what is it all this exam is all about, and what do they ask, what kind of questions they ask, what is their difficulty level they go into. So everything can be answered by looking at their previous year's questions. So second learning from this video would be study material, of course, but in study material, go through the PYQs. And of course, if you are still confused, of course, PYQs are not sufficient. PYQs are never sufficient, trust me. Everybody is doing them, everybody must have done them. But let's say there is a category or a pattern of question, but you need more clarity on this. You need more variety of those category of questions. You need more practice on that question. You want to delve deeper in that category of questions. For that, you need a resource, a good resource, a study material. So here at CHH Makers, at IPMverse, we have designed a material, a specific material for IPMAT. So a lot of variety of questions are there, a lot of category of questions are there, different level of questions are there. In a very structured and a planned manner, we have created material so that even a student from a mathematics background or a non-math background can avail that, can seek help with that, from that, and excel in quantitative aptitude for IPMAT. So if you are looking for study material, I'll suggest CHH Makers. Books are always there for you. IPM concept books, IPM reference books, a lot of things are there. When you explore it further, you will get to know that what all can be studied. So yes, we are there with that assistance. If you seek, if you need help, we are definitely there for you. Along with that, yes, if you need some books on quantitative aptitude, if you are still, first of all, please understand, I will always emphasize, I will always, put more highlight on this point that yes, a lot of books are there, a lot of materials is there, but they are not as structured, as comprehensive, as to the point as CHH Makers has created its material. So trust me, for IPMverse, they have done their research, their own work, and they have created a material which is specifically to the point designed for IPM only. So yes, you can refer to that. And then of course, which you are not going to feel, but if you still feel that this is not sufficient, you need more practice, because trust me, what they offer is something exceptionally phenomenal. Something really huge, something really big, something very much, which you won't be able to solve in one cycle. But if you are able to, which is truly not possible, but if you are able to, let's say, then of course, and you want more suggestions that what kind of books additionally can be referred, then yes, for basics, this is for non-maths background students. For basics, R.S. Agrawal is sufficient, and to get a level higher, you can go with Arun Sharma. So that's how you can proceed with. But of course, for higher mathematics, even Arun Sharma doesn't cover all the chapters, all the topics. So yes, for higher mathematics, you can refer to some other resources. Even for IIT JEE, the material, matrices and determinants, differentiation, application of derivatives, all that is given in those material as well. So you can refer to that kind of stuff as well, which is very easily available and accessible on the internet. So that is all, if you talk about study material. Next thing which I'd like to highlight is, yes, the importance of practice. If you really want to master this, the only key is practice, practice, practice. There is no other mantra for this. Trust me, you need to practice. So first of all, decide what syllabus is needed to be studied. Then decide what study material you will refer to, and then start with it. Then straight away start with it. How do you start with something? You study its concept. So basically, you revise the basics. You go through all the formulae, all the learnings of the chapter, and then you start practicing those questions. Now you need to decide that what is your level in that chapter. If you are decently good at that, start with tougher problem. But if you are weak at certain topics, start with the basic questions. And then once you have mastered the concepts, the understanding of the concepts, once you have memorized all the formulae, then you can move ahead with the higher level of problems. So that's how we proceed. After revising the basics, go through the questions and then gradually increase the level of the questions. So this is how I'll suggest that you divide your preparation into basics and then consolidation. Basics and then consolidation. Consolidation based on what you already know from that chapter. So it cannot be generalized that for each chapter you have to do this, but yes, varying that what chapter, up to what extent that is what will decide that how should you study a particular chapter. Yes, that's the most important part when it comes to, learning and applying, because when you're studying quantitative aptitude, you study it a lot. Now how do you study it? You study it through concepts, chapter wise. Then you take area test. Now what is the meaning of area test? For example, you have studied the whole geometry, like the concepts of angles, triangles, quadrilaterals, polygons, circles, and then you have moved ahead with different properties. Then you have come to mensuration, plane, a lot of figures are there, quadrilateral shapes, a lot of different shapes are there. Then you have moved to the solids. So this is all, let's say, you have studied. Now what do you do? Now you take the area test. So there comes the area. For example, geometry whole, you treat it as a whole unit and then you attempt it. And there comes the bigger challenge, because previously you were sure that this is the question based on angle, because you were solving a question from the chapter angle. So at least this part you were sure of, that I need not find out that what concept needs to be applied, because you were attempting it from the mindset that questions from the angle chapter are going to be faced, you are going to face, and then concepts of the angle chapter is going to be applied. So you are very clear what is needed to be done. But when you attempt area test, there you need to apply your brain, your intelligence, that this is a question on mensuration, this is a question on quadrilateral, this is a question on chords. So that segregation comes into picture, that additional effort comes into picture when you start attempting area test. Now if I bring more consolidation into this, then you can introduce sectional test as well. For example, a complete QA test. So a lot of sectional tests are to be attempted by you. Trust me, that is again something very crucial. You take complete QA, the whole syllabus test, and attempt it. Initially you start with the area, for example, algebra test, arithmetic test, geometry test, higher maths test. So these kind of tests you start attempting, and then you move to the sectional test, for example, quantitative aptitude. So there comes the bigger challenge. Now you have the entire syllabus in front of you. Previously, where you were looking at the one section only, that okay, this will be from geometry only if you are attempting the area test of geometry. But now your mind needs to think in a lot of directions, that yes, while reading a question, you need to think that it may look like a question from geometry, but it may end up, using the concept of, let's say, sequence and series. So that's how things may change, and that's how you should start thinking. That is what is expected when you start attempting different category of tests. I would always recommend that when you have started attempting a lot of area tests, a lot of sectional tests, there when you have completed or revised the whole syllabus, you move to attempting mocks as well. So when it came to PYQs, you must have done a lot of PYQs to understand the exam, but to get better at that exam, get better at attempting that exam, you should start writing a lot of mocks. You should start taking a lot of mocks. Trust me, this is going to be the difference maker or differentiator in your preparation, in your score, in your percentile, in your marks. Why am I saying so? Because the more mocks you attempt, the better you get at attempting the real examination paper in the real examination hall. This is which will give you a better idea that what have you learnt, where do you lack, what all is needed to be improved, how is your speed, how is your accuracy, how are you performing, what else is needed to be done. All of that will be worked out by you when you are actually attempting mocks, and that's where the analysis of your performance comes into picture. So you are not just practicing a lot of questions, concept wise, area wise, section wise, or mocks wise. You are actually analyzing your performance. You are seeing the cutoff, then you are working out that yes, this is what is needed to be worked upon, this is the category of questions which could have been done. This is how you actually strategize your performance or your area. Now after analyzing the performance, yes, that's the most crucial part, speed and time, because of the problem students faces. Sir, when we want to increase their speed, the problem is the accuracy drops, or if we forget the speed and time, if we don't track the time, accuracy gets increased, but then the number of questions, the attempt of number of questions gets decreased. So that's the balance which you need to strike. Again, there is no key for it. The only key is practice. The more you practice, the better you get at it. So yes, that's the only thing I'll suggest when it comes to developing a better speed and a better accuracy for attempting the test. One thing which some of you might forget is clarifying their doubts. So if they feel that this is a weak area, they leave it and they move ahead. Don't do that. Go through your doubts, take them to a mentor and seek their assistance. Here at CHH Makers or at IPMverse, we believe we have a developed systematic mechanism that all your doubts are always addressed through a designated faculty. So it is always ensured here. So I will always emphasize that whenever there is a doubt, don't leave it, don't skip it, get it resolved. Trust me, there are sometimes, a very small doubt is raised by you. But again, since it is a doubt and you did not clarify, it becomes a bigger problem and it starts obstructing the other chapters, other topics as well. But had you clarified it earlier, you would not face challenges further caused by this doubt in the other chapters. So please keep your doubts cleared. That's the most crucial part. We have already discussed the importance of previous year's questions. Nothing is more important than that. And I will always emphasize that start your preparation with PYQs only. For QA, of course, there is a very crucial thing. While you're revising everything, after your boards are happened, you are again revising everything. You're going through the whole concepts, the whole chapters. You need not do that. If you have maintained a formula book from each chapter while studying them in their first instances, you would have created a formula book. And if you have created a formula book, you will just need to go through the formula book to go through all the chapters, because you need not revise the theory time and again. You have attempted and practiced so many questions that you need not go through all the chapters, all the concepts, all the formulae again. Even if you are weak at some areas, you may need to go through those chapters only. Why should you revise all the chapters thoroughly? And that's where the importance of formula book comes into picture, that you revise concepts, formulae through formula book only. So develop it as a practice, that you start maintaining a formula book from the very beginning. I hope we are clear on the concept of formula book. With that, we call it a day here. With some more detailed information or inputs, we'll meet in the next video. Thank you so much, students. Take a good care of yourself.